Welcome to Hoop and the Harm. We bring both, as always, our lovely expert Nolan with the Knicks. They had him. You're up 3-1. Tatum, terrible injury. Terrible injury. I just so I can focus on the injury for a second. The injury's so bad because I think he loses out all of next year based on how other players have come back, including KD. Now, it doesn't mean he can't come back and be great. It just means, like, when it happened this late in the season, you've got a long time before he's back. So that's a sad thing.
It's likely a full year recovery. I mean, he's 26, so I have little doubt that he will be just as good once he gets back. But it is going to be a while. Next year is, unfortunately for Celtics fans, it's not a wash because they're obviously still a good team without him. But they're kind of forced to make some decisions about next year.
So when I watched that Game 3, though, for those that don't watch it or just read about it, it sounded like, this injury. This is the first game to me the Knicks actually handled them.
Oh, you mean Game 4?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Game 4, apologies. Yes. Game 3, they got slaughtered. Game 4, with the injury occurred. I'm trying to keep track here. So
they were only down, I think, 11 at one point in Game 4, as opposed to 20 in all the other games.
But the fourth quarter was just them.
Yeah.
And I just watched it, and just to me, I was like, man, I just have not seen a Boston team get handled like the Knicks were handling them. And it made me think, like, this is really promising. Then they go to Boston. So just to focus on Game 4, when they went up 3-1, how were you feeling? Game 4, you watched the game. We talked about it. We didn't want to wanted to win, just get another win.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about it watching that game?
I felt like this was the team I was waiting for all season. Like, I just felt like there it is. Like, the ball was moving. You had your four key, guys. Josh Hart's a key guy, but I still think he's best when he's a glue guy, not being asked to score. Doing all the other dirty work. But you had Anunoby, Bridges, Brunson, and Cat were all scoring. Were all contributing.
When Bridges scores, like when he scores, like I'm just telling you, he's smooth. Mm-hmm. He's such a good defender.
He is, and he looked like it was a game that made you say, okay, like this is why you gave up 5 picks for him, and you don't sweat it. This is why you don't sweat the middle school kids who we don't even know yet, because if Bridges can do this on a consistent basis, man, who doesn't want a guy like that on their team?
His length has been a problem for Boston the whole series. He's won them basically
I was gonna say
two games with his defense, which was immaculate.
He's done great things on Brown throughout the series.
I think Brown has struggled because of him. He's a problem. Mm-hmm. He is a problem for the superstars because of his length, and excellent defender. But again, you're not wrong. When you watch that team, it felt like they just were too much. And the baskets were easy. Like, I watched the Knicks make baskets look hard. That game, it was just like, baskets are easy. This is happening. Yep. And it was a terrible injury that kind of, like, bookmarked the end of the game. But at the end of this game was not in doubt. That fourth quarter, there was not a doubt in my mind the whole fourth quarter. The Knicks owned it.
I still have my, and maybe it's just my PTSD. I still have my thoughts that, was those first 2 games a fluke? But when you factor in the whole series overall, it does seem like there's some kind of like rope-a-dope plan in place. Like the Knicks are like, you know what? Let the Celtics play their game. Let them take a million threes, and if they hit them all, they deserve to win. But if they don't, they're going to get tired, and they're going to keep chucking, and they're going to keep going to that well, and we're going to use Bridges in the mid range, and we're gonna play team basketball, and we're gonna tighten up on defense in other ways, or we're gonna focus on specific players. And I mean, those 3 games that the Knicks won, Boston looked gassed at the end. They look shook. They look like, what do we do now? And so, I don't think that's a feeling. I don't think that's a situation that Boston's been in a lot over the last 2 years. And so, maybe it's not. Maybe it was sheer luck that the Knicks just got hot at the right time and Boston cooled off 3 times. But there might be some method to this madness here.
I also felt like I feel really strongly about the Knicks moving on after that game, because when you're up 3-1, we talked about this in basketball, especially against a team like Boston. Now Boston has to have 3 straight games of great shooting. They can't have bad shooting by 2 guys. I mean, you can have bad shooting by 1 guy, but you can't just huck things up and not hit anything. Everyone's got to be on, because you can't have a bad game. Yeah. And their margin for error is 0. So when they go into Game 5, 3-1. I'm sorry, we're Game 5, 3-1.
Right.
This is in Boston, and it just
maybe a little inspired to play hard for Tatum.
I think it felt 2 ways. I agree with you on that statement, but I also feel like there's less watching Tatum work. There's something to a superstar that you have to watch him work, and there's more of a flow when they don't have the superstar. But
totally.
But also, there's 2 things that happened when I watched the playoffs. Like when Curry got injured, I was like, so Minnesota's going to turn it on and take over Game 1. And they never did. And they just never turned it on. It's almost like you expect that team to take a step down because, you don't have your superstar. So, you're just not going to try as hard. And then the other team, everyone's trying super hard. And it was like that recipe. And the other thing I thought, the fouls and the calls, and it was just like...
Am I being a homer in saying that there was a little bit of a friendly whistle towards Boston?
I thought it was a friendly whistle. I felt it was like, Boston, we're going to make this. Because, again, let's just look at it from a TV standpoint, okay? Going into Game 5, Indiana is done. Minnesota is playing that night, going to finish Golden State. We all knew that. That's not even in doubt anymore because Minnesota just continues to Golden State doesn't have any horses in the pen. It's just not. They're not there. And then you look at the other series with OKC and Denver. So the only series in a major city in the United States is Boston, New York. Mm-hmm. And if New York finished them in Game 5, you now have one major city, the New York Knicks, facing Indiana. And again, Indiana has tried their best to win a championship. God knows you hate them. You've told me you hate them.
They've got a heck of a chance of this year, though.
So you have Indiana. Just think of the demographics. Indiana, New York, or Indiana, Boston. And you have a New York-Boston series that, in all reality, you want it to go 6 or 7. 7 if you can. It's got everybody engaged.
This is probably what a lot of people pictured would have been the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So they want to get as much mileage out of it as they can.
And we have a potential of Minnesota versus OKC. So you have LA gone. Mm-hmm. Denver would be gone. So the furthest west team you have is OKC.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a
if you're on the West Coast, you're not necessarily going to be rushing home from work to get
people don't even know who's on OKC. Let's face reality. They have not marketed OKC. ESPN has basically been marketing Golden State and the Lakers for the whole season. They haven't played OKC games. Nobody talks about OKC. And at the end of the day, like, you look at the markets that they have, and they're going to get what they get.
Yet you got the 2 MVP candidates going head-to-head in what could be 7 games.
And I feel that series has been really good. We'll get into that in a minute. But going back to the calls, I have always felt this about the NBA. I felt Boston had good whistles. Mm-hmm. This is where we sit. I felt Brunson's post-game interview was pretty fantastic. I always like it when the reporter's like, hey, you've never had 5 fouls in a quarter, so... You want to comment on that? And the player's like, if I say anything, I get fined.
Right.
I mean, anything at all. You just are literally walking me into a fine. So thank you. And the fine will be as much as you make in a year, Mr. Reporter or Mrs. Reporter. And I always laugh about that because I'm like, he was smart to just be like, I don't have any comments. He didn't even say, like, that's pretty wild.
Unfortunately, you got to keep your mouth shut because you got other games to play.
The only person who can talk is the coach, and the coach did his talking. So here we go. To me, Game 5 was like so the two games that the Knicks have lost, and we said this, even without Tatum.
Yeah.
They lost by roughly 20 in both games.
Yeah.
Give or take. So, and the games the Knicks have won, two really close ones, and then they really did beat them. I would say
they did. It was a convincing win.
I think Game 6, the Knicks win them similarly to Game 4. But I know your hesitation because, again, in all reality, Boston does have a lot of good shooters. Here's my only note for you about this. On the road, the adrenaline of Tatum is done. Like, it doesn't last over 2 games.
Right.
The Knicks aren't going to go, oh, we don't need to try. The Knicks want to move on.
The Knicks don't want to get it to Game 7.
No, they don't.
They don't want to drop. They don't want to go back to Boston.
And nothing for nothing, Indiana has really has a good flow going. However, I want to caution the people who are all on Indiana. They have beaten really not the best squad. The Cavs had injuries in Game 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Donovan Mitchell, we don't know how good his ankle was.
Yeah, he was. Garland was limping around that whole last game.
They had a lot of stuff going on that they just were not up to par in the regular season. And it may explain their end of the year kind of downward slide. They may have been beat up a little bit and they were trying to get by instead of resting, getting healthy, and getting the 2.
Sure.
Which would have made more sense if you're like, get healthy. So we didn't think Indiana was going to have a competitive first series. Remember, we talked openly about that.
We thought that for sure.
We said it was going to be easy for Indiana. It turned out to be against Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. Then they had in all reality, an easy series against the Cavs thanks to injuries.
We thought it would be a lot closer.
But we also, I didn't think Mitchell was going to have an ankle issue. I didn't think they were going to have all these issues. And the other thing that was shocking is watching the Cleveland big guys play poor defense, just not show up.
Which has been like their bread and butter all year.
Just like suddenly MIA. And you're like, why are you suddenly missing?
Yeah.
He blamed the Indiana squad for being deep and just running them into the ground. Fair enough. That's fair. And so this would be the Knicks who have a shorter bench versus Indiana who has a bigger bench. And that would be fun. But we have to get there. So back to Knicks. Back to Knicks in Boston. To me, this is all the NBA has. We're in May. If you look at ratings,
we're supposed to go to mid-June.
You don't have James, so James is your big guy. You don't have Curry. Who are the big guys that have been sold? Like, in all reality, they didn't even cover the Minnesota-New York trade enough. With Julius Randle was like, oh, he's just Julius Randle. He's never really been that. That's all true. But if they would have covered it, like the Knicks are pushing to make it into the finals with Cat. But everyone watched Cat in the playoffs, and they're like, yeah, I don't see it. And everyone watched Randle in New York, and they're like, I don't see it.
And it's a problem because there's a resistance to, for a league that is star-driven, there is like a real resistance to move away from some of those guys and really raise up a bunch of more stars. Julius Randle has been All-NBA twice, I think. Like, he is not a nobody. And yet, like, over the years, the talking heads on ESPN and other channels have really not, given him the respect. And he's just one example. But, he does, as I've said on the show, he's got his moments where, he's probably not the perfect superstar. But Julius Randle is a really, really good player. He's playing the best basketball of his life right now. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Like, he should already have been featured, I believe, as a key guy.
And coming from the Knicks, but all they do on the Knicks is just say this is a disappointment. The other thing I want to make is really comical is one of the stories they pushed in the Golden State series. Now, again, I know if Curry's on Golden State, this is a different series. I totally understand that. They pushed the green Julius Randle thing, We talked about Julius Randle and Green.
Mm-hmm.
That was not even a thing. That shouldn't even have been talked about. Green is nothing compared to Randle. He's not even a spec anymore. Like, it's over. Green has played a long career, but it is done. It's not Rodman.
Yeah.
He's not coming back to, like, play with Michael Jordan in the twilight of his career. He doesn't have the same capabilities. Rodman,
and as we said it on this show before, we don't know. You don't know if he would like on a different team in a different universe if he's the same player, but certainly not at this time at point in his career.
No,
like, there's no going to another team and then recapturing some magic.
The Curry injury, again, everyone can say, well, that's unexpected. But again, like LeBron James and his knee injury, whether it's real or not, these are not young people. Mm-hmm. They're playing a young person game.
Yeah.
And when you play a young person game in the playoffs, and they played a 7-game series against Houston.
A young team.
And Houston, what did they do? They wore them out game 6, getting to game 7. Like game 6, the Golden State had nothing.
Yeah.
And then they got hot in game 7 and they beat Houston. But if you tell me they had to play Houston in 2 series in a row, Houston wins the second series in 5.
Yeah.
Because Curry gets injured again. So if Minnesota has to face Golden State in the first round, okay. But guess what? Golden State was a 7 seed. They had to play the 2. Curry's not young anymore.
They've been playing a lot of extra basketball. And
just
right down to get to the last game of the regular season, they're playing hard. They're not saving their bench or anything like that. So
Curry's going to come back. Butler and Curry are not young. Why are we promoting this? You have young talent. I understand why. He is a once-in-a-lifetime player. I understand that. He's been unreal.
I guess they're chasing that story that like if Curry was able to get back to the promised land one more time before he retires, right?
And to me, as a Suns fan, I love this because guess what? KD has a marketplace. In all reality, KD shouldn't have a marketplace. He's in the twilight of his career. Like, KD's not dunking on anyone, and KD's chances of injury are rising every day. They're not going down, they're rising.
That's true.
So when I look at, like, Tatum's injury, I don't like it, but he is 26. He's not 36.
Right.
And I look at his injury, and I'm more alarmed because of his age, because when Kobe had it, it was a hard recovery, but he was older.
Mm-hmm.
So Curry had a hamstring injury. Guess what? He works out all the time. It's not like he wasn't stretched.
Right.
He's not at the way he was before. And then my favorite is like, oh, well, we just have too many games in the regular season. No, we don't. If you want to have do this senior NBA then.
Right.
They have a senior PGA tour.
Right.
The players go there to play because they can't play with the young guys anymore because the holes are too far for them to make it. To even be competitive.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what the big three was hoping for, right?
So, again, it's like, this is where they are. Can LeBron be great in moments and in surges? Absolutely. Can he play for another 3 years, 4 years? I would say,
I think he could.
Sure, he's that much of an anomaly. But you cannot put your NBA logo on him and say, this is who you should watch, kids. When you have guys like Anthony Edwards.
Yes, I
mean, just name all the stars.
Talent around.
SGA. I know he has had ups and downs, but look across the OKC lineup. You have that kid Williams.
Jalen Williams.
Oh my Lord, have mercy! How is he? That guy is he's everywhere.
Yeah.
And he can take over a game just like SGA. And it's like nothing for nothing. NBA's got lots of talent. They have lots of things to be excited about. But the way that they market to the coast, and I understand it, this is why I see the issues that they have. Now, you could say in a year the Lakers are in because of all the trades. We can get into all that stuff. But Knicks and Boston, here you have Indiana, possibly Indiana, Minnesota, OKC, and New York. And if you were to say before the season that's your final 4, Nolan, you would be like, I'm going to go to Vegas and put money down.
Yeah.
No Boston. None of these other...
I definitely would have said what happened.
Yeah. And then everyone's going to say, well, Tatum got hurt. Well, I'm sorry. The Knicks were up 3-1 without Tatum.
Yeah.
With Tatum, sorry. So,
yeah, and even that game 4, the Knicks pretty much had it in hand, but by the time Tatum got injured.
Yeah, so. Knicks have been the better team. They've won.
If you want to make the argument that Tatum's doesn't get hurt, they win the next 3. Sure, I mean I believe Boston has what it takes to win the next 3, the last 3 games, and blow this out of the water anyway. But
I still think, to your point, Boston is dangerous. They still have a lot of shooters. My point is simply to do it 3 games in a row. Has Boston done that? Yes, they have. Can they do it? Sure.
They didn't win the championship last year just on Tatum alone.
Again, it's always good to have those 2 players. My question to you is, do you feel that this is a Knicks must-win Game 6?
I do.
I don't buy. Here's why I don't buy it. Here's why I don't buy that it's a must. Boston's already lost on their home court to the Knicks twice.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Knicks go to Boston and go, oh, we don't know what we're doing. Now, again, do the Knicks want to win it? Sure. Are the Knicks going to finish them like they finished? Oh, jeez. That Game 6. What? That Game 6. If they do that Game 6 again, I'm happy because they win. For you, obviously. But that Game 6 that they closed out the freaking Detroit Pistons, that was the Pistons. That was a roller coaster.
It was. And that's just what it is. It's like I feel like the pendulum swing. Because on one hand, you can say exactly what you said. The Knicks beat Boston twice. The Knicks have come back, not just in this series, but in the Detroit series and through the regular season. Their MO a lot of times is, again, like lulling the opponent into a false sense of security and coming back. And they've won a lot of games that way. They've clawed and scratched. A big saying among Knicks fan community is it wasn't pretty, but it was gritty. That's been their MO a lot of the year. On the other hand, though, is that sustainable? And at what point does the shoe drop? At some point, does that not just hit you right back in the face? I don't know. And Boston is still lethal, even without Tatum.
I feel that I felt like OKC is getting stronger as they beat Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that way about game 4. I felt the Knicks got stronger as a team. They just are trusting each other more.
I think it validated them a little bit.
They've the self-doubt kind of got removed in their head. When I watch that game and you're like, this is what it could be. Yeah. It's almost like when a team starts to believe in themselves, we made the playoffs, that's good. Yeah, we won the first round against Detroit. We did what we were supposed to. They won the first 2 games against Boston. Yeah, so what? Then they got crushed. And then when the way they beat them in game form, it was almost like, we are good. We can we can beat these guys.
It was like Rocky in Rocky 4, I think it was, where he cuts Drago and he's bleeding, and it's he's human. You can beat him. You can do it. And suddenly Rocky's got all the momentum. But that's what it felt like.
Yeah, boxing as a reference with this series is really good. The rope-a-dope reference is really great because it is an odd series. Boston. Not
to mention Josh Hart bleeding all over his face.
Oh my Lord! There's so much blood the other game. Yeah, it's got everything that you want. I mean, Game 6 is exciting. Would I be disappointed if it went to Game 7? No, because I'd watch it.
Right. It'd be fascinating as an objective fan.
Yeah, but as a Knicks fan, do you want... No, you don't want Game 7 because you don't want to feel that. And plus, you're at home and you want to win in front of your fans. Really,
look, if it goes to a Game 7, what the Knicks have essentially done is they've taken a series where nobody gave them a chance. I mean, ESPN... right down the line, everybody picked Boston to win,
including
everyone
us.
Had Boston in somewhere between 4 and 7 games. Most cases 5, 5 or 6, including us. Nobody expected the Knicks to win. If the Knicks would have gotten swept, it would have surprised almost nobody. And so what if this game now goes to a Game 7? What they've essentially done is they've thrown that out the window, and they've found a way to make it LOL Knicks, for losing to Boston in Game 7.
Because the Knicks haven't won a championship in so long, I feel like everyone's quick with a shovel and dirt to bury them. Mm-hmm. As opposed to like the Lakers or like a San Antonio, everyone's quick to say, no, they'll still rise up.
They'll figure out a way, right?
Yeah, no one looks at the Knicks and is like, oh, they'll figure this out. They're going to be better.
Hey, I mean, that's what I did with the Warriors, right? Like
we both said that until the dirt is on the ground and we pulled away and we looked back and said, did they climb out of the dirt?
Even with Curry on the bench, I'm like, you know what? Maybe he comes out of the tunnel with the jersey on and he suits up. Like,
I
who knows?
read every report. Like, I swear to, if he comes back for Game 5, or like they kept saying, "Mo, he may come back for Game 6." I'm like, what would Minnesota do? They'd be like, "Oh, we got to face Curry." Yeah. I understand what Steve Kerr says about that series and what it's going to be, and we could have made a run. Let's face reality again. Let's go back to reality. Yes, you could have made a run if Steph Curry is 5 years younger. I totally agree with you. The reason why he hurt his hamstring is because he's older.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, he's playing with that Houston team made him work. And we talked about this. I talk about it in other series. You want a 5-game. We talked about it in the first round. You don't want to get hurt. You want to play a 5-game series. 7-game series are different. They let you play a little more. Game 6 and Game 7 are a little more physical. That's the other thing. That's the one thing about the last game with the Knicks. That's a physical game. They're going to let them play. Now, if the fouls go the Knicks' way, we'll watch the Knicks, see if they can get over the discouragement. Boston.
It really cost the Warriors everything to win that first-round series.
Oh, absolutely. And then all the theatrics didn't help them at all. So I'm cheering for the Knicks with you. I'm hoping that they raise up. I'm going to be the guy who stands around the coffin without dirt. I decided that everybody feels like, even like when I watch it, just the general idea is the Knicks are always disappointing us. And they have. And I totally understand that.
But they're also surprising us too, right? Like they also come back with
nobody had them in Game 4 to win like that.
No.
Nobody. And if you were going to ask like the money, what was the money on? I mean, no one had him winning Game 2 after Game 1.
Right.
And then they certainly didn't have him winning Game 4 because they were like, oh, Game 3 turned out the way we thought it was going to be.
Right.
And then the way the Knicks played in Game 4 was kind of like, Game 3 is the anomaly.
Yeah.
And then I'm okay, fine. You can have Game 5. Game 6 is ours. I don't agree that it's a must-win for them because I feel like the Knicks have kind of figured out some things.
It would be really nice if they didn't, give up a 20-point lead, though, at some point.
I don't know what you would do. Like, what would you do if they didn't do that? If they didn't play with that rope-a-dope? It's like, that's their strategy.
I don't know. I mean, again, in Game 4, they were down early, I think 10 or 11. But that's, you and I both know that's nothing these days.
No, nothing in today's era. Let's go to the other series that's still going on, Denver and OKC.
It's a lot of fun.
My sense about Denver OKC, and I appreciate this young coach talking about his errors. The last 2 games, Game 5 and Game 4, both of the fourth quarters, OKC had more in the tank than Denver did. Period. End of story. I don't care what anyone says. I think the Joker in Game 5 was unhuman. He was not a human being. I don't even know what to say. Like when he hit the 1-foot turnaround, spin around 3. Like if you practice that at home in horse, like that makes sense to me. He did that in an NBA game, and I believe it was Chet Holmgren who had a hand in his face.
Like it was nothing.
He did a turnaround 1-footed swish. I watched that shot and I thought, oh, Denver's not losing. He just made that, but nobody else from Denver could hit a shot. I think they need to have a deeper bench, but they don't. They don't trust on a deeper bench, so I don't know what to say about that.
Although they play a lot of guys, which is crazy.
You just got to rest Murray and Joker more and get in the first to second quarter, and I understand it because OKC, man, they can really put on a nice run. Here's the other thing that I feel. I just feel like one of those characters in a movie that, like, when they destroy you, they get stronger.
The Hulk. I was going to say the Hulk.
Every game, they just feel like they're figuring it out. They're getting smarter. They're getting stronger. They're getting, like, Oh,
They're
we
adaptable.
figured
They're
out.
so
we
adaptable.
figured out how to do the fourth quarter. Now it took us a couple games. We figured this out. Like we gave you game 1, we messed that up, but we figured out game 4 and game 5, which are huge if you think about it. So they go back to Denver. I think, based on how I've seen them coach, I feel like OKC's confidence is getting super high.
Definitely.
And as much as I liked Minnesota going into Golden State, Minnesota's sitting there waiting. I don't know what to tell you. If OKC faces off on Minnesota, I would love to see a great series, but nothing for nothing, everybody. OKC, they have so much talent.
They do.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think they absolutely adapt to everything. The longer the series goes, you think, oh man, Denver's hanging with them and they got a shot. But I feel like the longer it goes, the more OKC just learns from it and just grows from it. I really felt like that game 5 was a must win for Denver. I really feel like they just let it slip, and because now I just feel like OKC has them right where they want them.
Did you feel like in game 5, did it feel like every OKC shot was like easy, and the Denver shots were like, we finally got it.
Especially as the game went on. The way they started, the way Denver started, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be right down to the wire, and Denver just couldn't stick with them. They couldn't sustain it.
I felt that OKC was starting the fourth quarter. They felt pretty confident.
Yeah,
and you could feel like the run coming. And Denver wasn't pulling anybody. And then Denver, it felt to me like, remember when we watched the Knicks and the Suns and we talked about how hard it was to get a shot? Mm-hmm. It felt to me like Denver had a tough time getting a shot. And the open shots were what OKC wanted you to take. So I always talk about this with teams when everyone can say, oh, I can't believe Denver didn't. Denver usually has an easier time. OKC plays really great defense. They are forcing Denver into those hard shots. They're forcing Denver in a critical moment to take the shot they don't want to take. As much as I love Joker's shot, that was the shot clock's running down, send it up on a prayer, that's all I got. And if you're OKC and you're like, I can't believe he made that shot, if that's how you beat us, hats off. Hats off. Exactly. If you're going to beat us on these one-legged turnaround jumpers, I mean, again, if you're going to do that, that's fine.
But also, try it again, like the next time around. Do it again. Let's see you do it again.
But their defense is on point. They don't foul. They're very disciplined. And the other thing that I felt in the third quarter, I felt Murray was getting hot. And in the fourth quarter, he just couldn't sustain it. And the other thing that I still love, as much as I love Russell Westbrook, my God Almighty, when he misses shots, he doesn't miss them a little bit. He misses them by a ton. Yeah. And I think he's to me, he's more of a drive and get fouled at this time sometimes. I'm like,
yes.
And especially when you're not scoring, I kept thinking, get to the free throw line. You need someone to just get to the free throw line. You need to slow it down. And then I just felt Denver's not using the right angles. Maybe they'll see something on film, but OKC is a really great team. They're a really great team for a reason. And as much as nobody's promoting them, I mean, you could do a series on their bench players. You could do a series on their starters. I know SGA is great, but golly, they got some players.
They do. I mean, and they, started cutting bait with some of these young guys last year, and it like Giddey, they traded Giddey, and it doesn't even matter. I definitely foresee a situation where they lose Holmgren, and I'm not even sure you'd even miss him all that much.
That's an interesting take. The issue, I shouldn't even say the issue. If they were to lose him, I think they would upgrade because of the picks that they have. Because of everything that they have, they can upgrade in those scenarios. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that's Absolutely. The thing that's crazy to me is OKC can get better. They have all these picks and they have all these assets and they have all these players. They could literally get better. They don't need a draft. but they have all the draft.
They don't. I mean, we're looking at a very, very high probability that's your NBA champion right there. And yeah,
who's the oldest star? Who's the oldest guy on the team? Isn't it that 31?
Caruso, maybe.
Yes, I think he's the oldest guy they have on their whole team.
And he's not even that old.
No, he's 31, I think.
It's crazy.
Like if you compare it to what the NBA has been selling you, like the OKC team is all in their 20s.
And they've probably got a young guy on the bench that they're grooming to be the next Caruso when his 3 or 4 year deal expires, whatever it is.
But if you're a seasoned vet, I mean, if you're a vet, like again, look at like you play good defense, you spot up and take threes. Wouldn't you want to join OKC?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Be a bench guy, come out, play your 10, 15 minutes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Get a ring. I mean, that's what it feels like.
Yep. My point is to say that they don't need to make a superstar trade.
No.
If they can just kind of hold on to their assets, and if they get a bad injury, then you make a big splash, and you're even better for it. But
I feel like, and let me know what I was thinking this. I think I texted you this, but I feel like the big three, the era of the big three that LeBron James granted us with, that everyone tried to mimic, has been replaced by like the big 9 or 10.
Absolutely.
Like if you don't have 9 players, if you're still playing with 7, good luck.
Or like the big 2 plus, a bunch of fringe all-stars.
Who is the I forget his name, but the individual who's hitting the 3-pointers in the fourth quarter with the long hair. He was all over the place. I'm losing his name, but
Wallace?
No. Wallace was a good he harassed Joker. I like that.
Again, another guy that they drafted.
He hit like 3 threes in a row to bring him back into the game. I'm gonna Lou Dort. Thank you. Yes, there it is. He hit 3 threes.
About them.
He hit 3 threes in a row, and you don't even know he exists on that team.
And that's the one guy that's like in every trade package that what people hypothetically talk about if OKC gets an all-star.
But he also made key defensive stops. He's a
core player.
Literally rebounded the ball, like everything that you do. Like if you were to trade him, like what are you getting that's better than that?
Right.
And his 3-point shot is the highest arcing 3-point shot I think maybe in NBA history. Did you? I mean, his launch angle. You're like, this is a crazy. When you watch him, you're like, and then he hits him, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm. And he's fresh. That's the other thing they keep talking about. Our team's fresh all the time.
All the time.
Like, there's nobody that comes in and you're like, I'm just tired, and I got. If they were to get ousted, nobody's gonna say I need to get in the weight room this year. Like they come at you with the waves, and I commend Denver. I commend them for how they're doing and what they've done. I think it's, again, they're playing toe-to-toe with them.
They've done almost the best they can, I think. I'd love to see Denver win tonight and push the series to Game 7 because it's been a fun series.
I would love a Game 7, too. I mean, to me, I'm enjoying the series just as much as you. Like, the Knicks-Boston series, I'm enjoying for different reasons because I'm doing the podcast with you. But the OKC-Denver series, for entertainment purposes and for just... Yeah. I mean, you're watching some high-level talent.
You are.
And OKC they are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing for nothing. You put them in the Knicks jerseys, the Boston, Orlando, Dallas,
to your
Lakers.
Point, they will be the blueprint going forward for teams.
And the thing that I love, and again, I'm going to say this, who is working on the book about the trade? When they got rid of the superstars that they brought in to try to make a run and then went young and then got a lot of picks and they just held. They just held all their cards. And they're like, we're going to be fine with this. Like the amount of temptation of people to try to hurry the process up, and he said, I'm not hurrying the process up. The fact that the big 3 left OKC, only one has a ring because he went to Golden State. The other 3 do not have a ring. And right. Russell Westbrook, in all reality, as much as we would love him to have a ring, does not. OKC has a chance to give everybody rings in OKC before those 3 all get theirs. And if you were to say that to me at the time that they traded those guys away, I would say OKC's never getting a ring.
No way.
Because they're trading all this talent away. And who's going to go play for OKC?
Exactly. But
if you're SGA, why would you leave?
I mean, who would have? I mean, Oklahoma doesn't even have a team in another professional sport. But you know what? They apparently they have a great fan base. Apparently that building is electric. You know, being inside there is a real event, and you know they've made the small market really work.
Here's why I think the small market really works. There's less of all these people trying to be something else. OKC, if you're making money in OKC, if you're making money out there, you're doing, God's work. You're not just sitting there hyping up some Instagram, doing something on socials, creating an app. All those guys are hard workers. If their team wasn't hard workers, they wouldn't be there. So they're working hard on defense, working hard on offense. That's the other thing I really admired about watching OKC. Watch OKC on defense. You want to see how defense should be played? Don't watch the Suns. Do not watch the Suns. Watch OKC. Like, I know the Knicks have moments, but OKC is legitimately 5 guys playing. Rarely do you see someone wide open going to the hoop for a dunk. Rarely do you see something. You may see missed assignments.
They've all bought in.
And the other thing is, try doing a fast break against that team. Try it. Yeah. They're all back. 3 or 4 guys are back. They are not letting up. This is why, to me, when I look at the Final Four potential of OKC, Minnesota, Knicks, Indiana, OKC makes the most sense because they both play full court, great defense, lots of people. As much as no one's going to watch benches. It's like that would be a formula that everyone's going to say, but this is odd because guess what? When your superstar's tired and wants to take a break, OKC has none of those guys wanting to take a break. If SGA can't play defense, he's not playing.
Right.
I mean, he's legitimately in front of people's faces.
Yep.
Like, you watch how hard it is for Murray to get a shot one-on-one against any of the people they switch on him. And I just tell you, the loose balls, the 50-50 balls, everything that OKC, you as a coach, anybody who's watching basketball, you watch that team and you're like, that's a team.
Yep.
And that's a team that when you play them, you'll be like, that sucked.
Yeah.
Because not only do they get 50-50 balls,
they're a team, you have to be flawless against
then you
them.
Got a guy raining in threes. All of them can hit threes. I think,
and that's why it would have been, again, objectively speaking, it would have been interesting to see Boston versus OKC because of what Boston is capable of with the raining threes.
From what I've seen of Boston, they don't have the defense that OKC does.
No, definitely not.
OKC has legitimately a good defense, and this coach.
And Boston is getting older. I mean, they got Holiday. Got
Holiday.
Horford.
Don't you think Holiday got really old? Like he doesn't look like the old self at all.
And he's got 3 more years on his contract.
Good for him. Bad for Boston. Good for him.
But Horford is very limited nowadays, and Porzingis looks like an old man. He's not, but he's playing like an old man because of that virus or whatever. That's
been an interesting aspect of his entire career. He just has never played up to the hype. Even last year, he came back and kind of played a little bit, but it wasn't a big deal. How do you say his last name?
Horford.
Yes, like that. His career is unreal.
It's crazy that he's still playing.
His career is I'm trying to think of another center that played that long and did the versatilities that he's done. Like, it's hard to think of one off the top of my head, but to me, it's like he's like a more talented offensive Charles Oakley kind of thing. Because I don't ever remember Charles Oakley being injured, and he played for a long time, but he just didn't have the offense that Al does.
No, definitely not. I mean, Oakley could knock down a mid-range jumper, and he did, when you needed him to. But he wasn't like, some kind of like wizard under the boards, other than the rebounding.
But the other thing about him is he won the 2 titles for Florida in the NCAA, and then he goes on to have a great NBA career overall. NBA I mean, career. No one's gonna Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So. The 2 series left, I see OKC. I did pick Denver. I'm sorry. I'm just watching OKC. I feel getting stronger. I look at I can't wait for us to go over the matchups. Minnesota against the winner. Again, I hope it goes 7. Knicks versus Indiana would be interesting. Can Boston come back? I mean, wait and see. Stay tuned to the next series or the next game, if you will. I think the Knicks being at home is going to be a real big advantage too. It's going to be really great. So the way that I view this series, the way that I view basketball going, this is a good trend. They just don't have
They
any.
got to find some ways to get the eyes on.
They don't have the shores. Like the Clippers aren't about to change. The Lakers have Luka. Like nothing for nothing. Picture Luka against OKC. Like there's no chance.
No.
Like they got 3 people to guard Luka.
Oh.
And then Luka can't play defense. You don't think OKC can't figure that out?
It's really demoralizing because if you're playing in the West with OKC, it's like it's not just about like we just got to get that one guy. It's like we have to get like 4 or 5 guys to keep up with them.
And they have to be able to play on both sides of the court. You can't have weaknesses. And if you have a superstar who has a weaknesses, they're going to go after, like they've gone after Joker on defense.
I'm sure we'll talk about it in the offseason, but like almost the teams with like the flexibility that are like taking baby steps towards like contention, like those are the teams that like, you know, have a chance, not immediately, but to like piece by piece put something together that resembles what OKC's doing.
I feel like the Spurs are kind of doing that. I feel like Houston's kind of doing that. Like if you were going to say which teams you feel are doing that, I feel like Dallas gets this pick. They're kind of doing. Dallas has got a deep team. They got a really deep team. Now, again, they don't have the youth.
But they're older.
They don't have the youth. Their window is shutting on them. But again, healthy, they have a deep team. So when I look at teams,
we're going to have to do a show on Dallas because they're really interesting. With this new getting the top pick, it makes things really interesting.
Thank you, NBA. I mean, thank you, chances, probability.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a statistics class. I know sports fans always want to pretend like they know statistics. I'm sorry. Look at the inevitability of how these drafts have gone. Like you trade a player to the Lakers and you
like
suddenly
every year.
You suddenly get a first round draft pick. That's a thing. If you look back at the history, everybody. So I'm not saying like
dealt with one team.
My favorite thing that everyone does is they're like, well, did you see Dallas's reaction? Those guys didn't know. They're not acting. And I go, yeah, you don't tell everybody the deal. You only need a couple people to figure it out and to let everybody else be surprised.
Nico Harrison's reaction could easily have been like, "Oh my gosh, they really did it! They came through on their promise to me."
Could have been just that. Again, I can't believe they did it because it's like, hey, I'm owed a bunch of money. Do you think they're going to pay it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, the court told them they do.
Yeah, they did it. They really did it.
And then you're like, we're getting stakes. I got the money.
Your tax person tells you you're getting a whole bunch of money back for your taxes, and you're like, I don't believe it until I see that check.
Right.
And then you see the check, and you're like, this is real.
We're going to Disney.
I was gonna say Sizzler.
Even better.
Going Sizzler.
Even better. Well, Disney can only do half of the check, probably, no matter how big it is. Sizzler, you can actually have some good food.
Yeah, you can come back again.
This is an interesting era for the NBA because I know the eyeballs are down. I know they signed a massive TV deal, but I have to tell, I think they're a victim of their own propaganda.
Yeah.
When you focus on stars that are above 35, it's bad. Baseball doesn't do that. Baseball knows when you're 35 plus, it's like, it's interesting, but no one in baseball is like, that's the guy.
Hey, you're absolutely right about that. Look, like, who the most talked about guy right now is probably Skeens, right? From Pittsburgh, the pitcher.
Yeah, him, Ohtani, and Judge. They're all in their prime.
And rightfully so. I mean, Judge is otherworldly the way he's playing, but like as soon as a guy like starts to pick up steam, like a young guy, they're like, you got to watch. This is must see TV. Skeens is pitching tonight.
Yes, baseball is all about it, and the NBA is like, hey, we're gonna put the Lakers in as many primetime games as possible.
Yeah,
and you're like, and LeBron's how old? He's not getting younger. Oh, but his son's gonna play with him. Isn't that? Don't you want to see that? And everybody in the NBA is like, fun? I guess. Then you watch him and you're like, I don't.
Like maybe I'll just watch Space Jam instead.
Like if you would have put OKC on more games, like I would have watched OKC beat the Lakers. So again, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like Indiana's got some rising stars. They have talented big guys. that, again, nobody knows. Because the NBA didn't even feature them because we have Boston.
Right.
And the Cavs. And I know they covered the Cavs, and the Cavs were fine. But
they did. They tried with the Cavs.
But you had to look at the top four. We looked at the
Lights
top four. We
bright.
said these are the top four. And one of the worst of the top four we said was the Knicks because of the inconsistencies. We had Indiana pegged. We knew Indiana was a tough out. And when they were going against the Cavs, I was like, Indiana, to me, is just flowing.
Yep. I thought it would be closer, but I thought they would. I didn't surprise me that they won.
But, again, when was Indiana on any national TV? Any Sunday game?
No.
And they don't. Reggie Miller, they promoted him like crazy. They got a kid who is really great. He literally hit a logo three. That three he hit, I watched it and I was like, I can't believe this. Like, these threes, everybody wants to be Steph Curry. I mean, thanks Steph Curry for that. You can give him kudos and have him in the stands with a suit, but don't promote Steph Curry. Right. Don't promote him because he can't last in the playoffs. I'm telling you. How old is the kid from Indiana? Isn't he in his late 20s?
Oh, yeah. Halliburton?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
23?
24.
Yeah. And again, he's been amazing.
He's been amazing.
Like, I know Ant-Man's amazing, but so is Halliburton's been really great.
And he's proving a lot of people wrong because a lot of people thought that he was a little overrated, and he's been the exact opposite.
And he's been clutch.
And
guess what he does that I know Indiana fans, I know you love Reggie Miller, and I love Reggie Miller too, but he drives and he can finish. Reggie Miller was a shooter. He was not a driver and a finisher. And this guy is a shooter and a driver. He's got all the tools.
And a great passer too.
He's a kid.
Yeah.
He's who you should be promoting every single week. This is the kid. Look at this kid. And everyone's like, oh, he's a kid. He doesn't have it. The seasoned vets are going to do it. And they didn't do it. So NBA's got to figure out their marketing. And I know they can't get off LeBron because he's the face of the league. They should have been off him like 3 years ago.
Maybe this year is going to force them to realize that.
What was the last time he did anything?
The old guard is out.
COVID? Was it the COVID thing that was the last time he did something?
Yeah, basically.
And then they let him win the NBA in-season playoff tournament to make everyone feel good for him?
Right.
Because it's the last time he's going to win a trophy?
The old guard is done. And so emerging from this year, you're going to see they're going to have to promote the
I think
gen.
COVID hurt the NBA more than it helped them by playing in that whole bubble and then marketing the way they did. And then, oh, yeah, did you see the Lakers won it? And I'm like, come on, that COVID series. Where LeBron was like, we're leaving. Remember that? He was like, we're going to leave. I don't like the way it's going. Oh, we're back and we won the championship. Give us our rings. I'm like, oh, godly. I played with those kids in the playground. My ball, my rules.
Yeah. That's literally what it was like.
So maybe that's the problem. The league is like, it's LeBron and LeBron's rules. And everybody else is like, yeah, but he's not as good as these kids. And he's not supposed to be. When you're 40, you're not supposed to be as good as 23.
No. But he's going to hold on for as long as he can.
Well, God bless him. I mean, I have no problem with this.
He might even be on a different team at some point.
The senior NBA tour, I have no problem. I'm sure he'll sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and he'll be loved. The Suns love old guys. We got Shaq beyond his prime. I'm sure in 3 years we'll bring LeBron over because that's what the Suns do with our many championships that our owner thinks he's going to get. Please. That's the other thing about the West. Just for the record, you know what's frustrating about the West? I just named off 3 teams, and the Suns are so far away from those teams. They're so far away. And the OKC's got, 20 more draft picks?
Talk about a team that's got some big decisions to make this offseason.
I mean, selling. What's that stock when it's like, we are selling a Booker, sold. They'll just have Beal next year.
No, that would be heartbreaking.
We'll be the Washington Wizards light.
Oh, I'm not rooting for that for you, man.
Can we change our name to the Suns Bullets?
Yeah.
Remember when they had to change the Washington Bullets in our younger days?
Yes.
We can't have the Bullets. It's too close to reflective to the crime problem we have.
Right. No, that wasn't good.
And we're going to change it to the Wizards. Okay, you're still terrible. But
yeah, not much has changed for the poor Wizards.
And our last point on the draft, and I know everybody's talked about this, how bad is it if you're Washington and then Utah? All the teams that were going to go 1, 2, 3 didn't even get 1, 2.
All 3 teams got bumped from the top 3.
Yes.
I can't even believe it. I mean, the Hornets only dropped 1 spot, but still, I mean, those teams.
And if I'm sorry, can you imagine Cooper in Washington? Let's be real.
Oh, that would have been.
Or
so
Charlotte.
Charlotte, I feel like made a little more sense because he was a Duke kid, so you got the Carolina connection.
Yeah, but Utah made more sense to me.
Utah, yeah. I mean, they could have had their dream of an all-white front court.
And only because every time I think of Utah, I think of the John Stockton, Jeff Hornacek.
Jeff Hornacek.
You know, the and then Ostertag.
Sometimes I have to remind myself that Marley didn't play for the Jazz.
Yes.
It just feels like he should have.
He probably should have been traded from the Sons of the Jazz. The Jazz haven't been good in forever.
Oh.
But that's it. That's the NBA. I think the NBA is in a interesting time. But the only reason why they're in an interesting time and not a great time is because of how they covered these teams.
Yeah.
In all reality, OKC, give them Lakers jerseys, no one would not be talking about them.
Oh, there would be Showtime again.
Oh my Lord. It would be
Showtime
Plus. Was it Amp Prime Plus, whatever, Disney Plus?
Yeah.
It'd be the Lakers Plus. They'd be selling an app that you could follow the guys. They'd be doing all sorts of stuff, and the Lakers would have sold everything.
And every one of them would have their number retired, and they'd actually be worthy of it.
Yes, the Showtime would be back in force. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Oh, the fact that the Clippers had him and sold him.
Brutal.
Yeah, sorry, Clippers. You're forever going to be cemented in the we're really, really we're a playoff team, but that's what we are.
SGA and Kawhi would have been a heck of a pairing.
Oh, my Lord. But the depth and the picks. That's the other thing I don't think people realize about OKC.
That's true.
And then San Antonio got, I believe, the Rookie of the Year this year, and they have the second pick now, and they have Wemby.
Actually, that's back-to-back Rookies of the Year for them, right?
Yeah, I wonder what they're doing there for San Antonio.
I think they gotta think seriously about making.
They're gonna get another 7-footer. Did you see that 7-footer who's coming out from Europe or whatever? There's some 7-foot.
Is it the guy from Duke?
No. Maybe it's, I don't know. No, not that guy. Anyways, we got to get in the draft at another time. But
Conversation for another day.
We could go on and on, but I'm just there's some. That's the other thing about the NBA. When you look at their draft, there's talent that you can get in the 30th pick.
Yeah.
So the people who, and there's
there's a big market of undrafted guys now. There's a lot of guys that go undrafted, and maybe it takes them a couple of years in the G League, but they end up being contributors.
The one thing I will say that may be a positive is that the coaching staffs will more reflect what OKC and Houston and all these other teams are doing, using more players. Because if you're doing that, then you're going to want a bench of somebody who's not just a cheerleader who's just wearing street clothes. You're going to want somebody who contributes. And all these guys can contribute. That's the one thing I have always looked at. When you have 10 people on the bench, these guys on the bench could still smoke anybody. Let's face reality. They show up anybody, they can smoke anybody. They're excellent players. The fact that the coach is like, you just play all of them, and they're fresh and they can do everything. And you're like, huh, that's an interesting novel concept. Who came up with that? OKC. Oklahoma came up with the new ideas.
They wrote the book, man. They wrote the new book.
There you go. It isn't in LA. It's not in New York. It certainly isn't in Buffalo. It's in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
All right, as always, that's Nolan, and he's hoping for the Knicks to carry on. I'm hoping for a Game 7 in OKC and Denver, as you are. Thanks for joining us on The Hoop and the Harm. As always, there's a lot of harm out there, but don't forget, there's always time for hoop.
Amen.
All right, guys. Bye now.